Hello and welcome. And for this week, the topic is a very important one in the span of Buddhist traditions, that of emptiness. And often in ordinary English usage, emptiness is considered to be a very unfortunate thing. Uh, when the emptiness of a meaningless life, for example, it's empty of value, empty of meaning, kind of depressing. And but in Buddhism, it's the opposite. It's actually an inspiring topic, an enlivening topic, a topic that in a sense, gives meaning, gives purpose, gives understanding in a particular way. And it's a little bit of a strange, paradoxical topic because word emptiness is an abstract noun, so it's not pointing to something concrete. But it's also not pointing to something that's just conceptual or abstract idea. It's pointing to a way of being aware, where awareness doesn't grab a hold of anything. The knowing, the seeing, the feeling. And it's a little bit akin to coming into a great high mountain vista. And you can certainly look at the mountains and scenery below and the clouds above. But you can also look into the empty space above. Maybe at a night sky, just lots of emptiness, and the eyes kind of see, but don't fixate on anything. See, but don't take something as an object. The eyes float freely. It's very relaxing. And so this way in which space can be the object, or silence can be an object, which stillness is maybe an object, something where the mind doesn't latch on, doesn't hold on, doesn't stay. So the emptiness that allows the attention to stay very soft, relaxed, open, because it doesn't fixate, it doesn't pick up, it doesn't put away. It's kind of like it's aware of the space between things. It's aware of the space just beyond the edges of our thinking. The space that's always here, in a room where there's lots of space, maybe a big cathedral or large cavernous place. It's inspiring, all the space and openness. That it's there, but you're also knowing other things in this area, but you stay relaxed and soft. All the great space in the big room creates a context where the mind doesn't latch on. It kind of floats or takes it all in, and it provides a sense of expansiveness. So, to assume a meditation posture, and sometimes the posture is such a great support for meditation. The posture can evoke certain things. We can sit in a confident posture. We can sit in a posture where we feel rooted, connected to the place we're in. And we can sit in a posture where we feel like we're inhabiting our full size, like that we feel like we're big from the inside out, independent of how our size compared to others. Just that kind of, so the chest is kind of a little bit, there's space for the chest, not to puff it up, but to, that we fill our space. We are large. We're certainly gigantic in relationship to an ant, or a squirrel, or maybe even a newborn baby. And to gently close the eyes, and as we breathe in, the expansion of the rib cage, front and back, is an expansion into the fullness, the largeness of ourselves here and now. And to feel that expansion and contraction of the rib cage without thinking about it, without commentary or judgments, to feel the sense of expansion with breathing in, settling as you breathe out. As you exhale, relaxing the body and appreciating any relaxing you do that leaves an absence, some small beginning of an absence of tension, tightness. As you exhale, there's the absence, the disappearing of the inhale. The absence of inhaling as you exhale. As you inhale, the absence of an exhale. And this sense of absence is a place where the mind, the attention, there's nothing there to fixate. In the exhale, there's no fixation on inhale because it's not there. But you might have a sense or feel for this absence of exhale, of inhale as you exhale. How there's nothing to hold on to. No inhale to hold on to as you exhale. As you inhale, no experience of exhaling is left to fixate on, feel, focus on. And then as you exhale now, to relax the thinking mind. Soften, quiet your thinking. And if you can let go of your thoughts, in the absence of thinking, absence of particular things you thought about, the mind doesn't fixate, doesn't pick up what is now gone. And then sitting here quietly, there is space around you, within you, maybe with the eyes closed. There's no boundary to that space, no edges in how the imagination of space going outward into the universe. And space is mostly an absence. And even though there's a presence of things, there's also the vastness of space where the mind does not attach to anything, cling to anything. Nothing there to land on for attention. To allow the mind attention to feel, to sense what it's like to be aware without landing or anywhere, or picking anything up, without focusing or fixating. While you're aware in a simple, relaxed way, you're breathing, your body, so that a non-fixating, non-clinging awareness floats on top of everything is equally, floats in emptiness, absence, and presence. focused on, concerned with, thinking about, oriented towards feeling and sensing. It's surrounded by space, stillness, silence, beyond the edges of thought, below it, above it. Let your attention include space, emptiness, as a way for attention to be soft and relaxed, easy, kind of like being in a vast, large, silent cathedral, a sacred space informed by all the space, nothing to cling to. Vast emptiness. whatever the mind knows, whatever the mind is aware of, whatever it feels, appears in the space of the mind, almost like a dream, almost like a hologram, almost like it has no substance or weight. The experience might have weight and substance, what you see, what you think about. But if you get intimately into how it's known in the mind, how it's thought about, in the mind itself, the vast, spacious mind, the knowing, the registering, the sense, the deep kind of way in which sensing travels into the mind. Everything is insubstantial, soft, empty of substance, empty of solidity, empty of a certain kind of existence, just like a hologram, is and is not. So the ways things are known arise in the mind, is and is not. And in that emptiness of the mind, there is freedom. Freedom of not clinging, landing, picking anything up. And in the absence of clinging, fixation, there is a vast open space for awareness, for attention, for presence that can be brought into the world, into our meetings with others. Vast emptiness in which full presence without clinging is possible. May this vast emptiness, empty of clinging, empty of contraction, empty of making things up about things, just being present in a relaxed way. May it be the means by which we bring our love, our care, goodwill, compassion into this world. May it be how we hold the whole world in our hearts. A heart that's big enough and empty enough for all the suffering, all the joys. May all beings be happy. May all beings be safe. May all beings be peaceful. May all beings be free. Thank you. So, good morning or good day. And now we're on the fourth talk on the topic of emptiness. And so the last 2 days have been oriented around two of the three aspects of emptiness. First is how things are empty. And the primary thing that the tradition sees is that they're empty of self, empty of this solidified, essentialist, permanent, ongoing, fixated or stuck way around there being a self here, projected onto the world, projected onto oneself. Things are also empty of our projections in and of themselves. If we just live in the projections, in the ideas, in the concepts the mind makes, those are just concepts, ideas, projections, which are empty of solidity, substantiality, of a certain kind of real existence. They are and are not. They don't have inherent essence or inherent continuity except by how they are manufactured or caught in the mind. And then there's the emptying of our attachments, emptying of our projections, our concepts, our concepts of self that we overlay and impose on ourselves and the world. And so this idea of emptying, and meditation is a lot about emptying of all the complications we have, all the ways in which we make things much more busy, involved, complicated than they have to be. A process of simplification. And as things are simplified, tension disappears, stress disappears, agitation disappears, and there's replaced by calm, by peace, by subtleness. And the more that the mind is stress-free, the more the heart is free of agitation, the more there's a feeling of space and silence and stillness and openness and emptiness, empty of all those things. So we're emptying ourselves. And then there's emptiness. Emptiness is an abstract noun, meaning it doesn't point to anything concrete. It points to something that, in ordinary English, abstract noun is something which is more like a concept. In Buddhism, emptiness is certainly a concept, but that's just this kind of the surface or the kind of abstract idea of it. But it's not exactly something that is or is not. It's an absence. And it's not the absence of meaning or purpose or that is depressing. The ordinary English idea of I feel really empty and someone could be saying they're feeling depressed, they're feeling an absence of meaning or purpose or absence of what in the past has filled their life and made it wonderful. And a lot of people feel empty, spiritually empty, emotionally empty, interpersonally empty, all kinds of ways which are debilitating. So that's not what the Buddhists are talking about. In a way, they're talking about something almost the opposite. And almost as if the ordinary ways that we might feel empty in a discouraging, depressing kind of way, is because we're still caught in the world of concepts and ideas, and that things have to be this way, and now they're not the way they're supposed to be, and therefore I'm discouraged. But to really begin loosening up and letting go of a life based on concepts, based on ideas, based on emotions, based on meaning and purpose. Not to reject all those by any means. Some of them have important parts of human life. But to discover that the mind can be empty of the activity of signifying, making things, holding on to things, relating to things as if they're so important that nothing else is important. There's a way in which the mind can soften, relax, open, and one of the ways that, a deep way in which this becomes so very clear, is that there's a world of difference between this bell. As I hold it, it has some weight, and right now it feels cold, and parts are smooth, and parts are a little bit rough. It has a certain substance and weight that's there. I mean, I'm not going to argue that the bell doesn't exist, but it exists in some way. But if I close my eyes, my memory, my idea of the bell, my concept of the bell, I can think about the bell when I'm not in this room. The concept, the idea, the memory, the thought, that is empty of that inherent existence. This bell can melt and no longer exist, and I can still have the idea of the bell. And if I was really attached to the bell, that attachment can be triggered by the memory. Or I could be aware that it's only a memory, it's only a thought. The thought itself has no real existential existence. It's empty of existential existence. And so, do I want to hold on to something that is empty of existential existence? What does it mean to hold on to it when it's nothing there to hold on to? It means that there's a lot of tension around nothing, a tightness, grasping around in a kind of way nothing. So it's kind of like a hologram in the mind. You put your hand into a hologram and you end up with nothing. And so all these thoughts and ideas are empty, but what's important is not that they're empty. What's important is how that teaches us how to be aware without clinging, without holding on. And so in the Theravada tradition, in the early teachings of the Buddha, emptiness has two primary meanings, reference points. And it's always has to do with deep, mature meditation practice. One is emptiness is a mind that is empty of deep samadhi. It's called the samadhi of emptiness. This deep, samadhis are always a feeling of tremendous well-being, of unification, of connection, and wellness. So we're talking about not a philosophy, not reading a book and understanding something. We're talking about a deep, unified experience of samadhi. The samadhi of emptiness is a samadhi where the primary reference point, the primary kind of characteristic of this state is a state that does not refer to anything as a self, does not involve in the whole project of self, does not involved in debating and arguing about self, or defending or asserting the self, or concerned in any kind of way with this concept, idea, this hologram of ideas and concepts we have about self. And it's radically empty. And that emptiness is almost akin to kind of emptiness of all clinging, all attachments. The second reference point for emptiness is the idea, is the emptiness of the mind, free of all attachments, all clinging, where emptiness, the state of emptiness, is equivalent to liberation itself, full awakening, full liberation, which is defined as the radical, complete, thorough absence of greed, hate, and delusions, absence of clinging and craving. And not just the absence of self-preoccupation, but something deeper. And so two kind of very deep states of emptiness. In the Mahayana tradition, emptiness has other meanings. There are many, many kind of things that the word emptiness refers to. In Mahayana tradition, the most common is that emptiness is the teaching that nothing has inherent existence. Nothing exists in some kind of inherent way that is continuous, permanent, solid, inherent. And in the early Buddhist tradition, that's kind of, you get to the same, and that Mahayana idea then helps the mind relax, let go, not cling to anything, and have a kind of intimacy with life, a very deep connectivity to life, because there's no ideas and concepts that somehow get in the way of a kind of intimacy to all life at the moment. In the Theravada tradition, that experience is more, comes from something called not emptiness, but signless, absence of signs. And what this means is the absence of signification. So the mind takes something in to recognize what it is. And so if I pick up this striker for the bell, there's something about its being a shape, its color, it's covered by a kind of in this case, leather for hitting the bell. And so there's certain things that signify that it's a striker. And there are times when the mind is so still and quiet, it's not assigning signification, it's not using memory to look for the things that tell me this is what the thing is. And so it leaves things radically alone, and without this extra work of signification, looking for a sign, fixating on the sign of what something is. Things have inherently in themselves are not the sign, are not the signification. And so again, the mind loosens up, lightens up. And then, so the emptiness, the signlessness, this idea of letting go really deeply, where does that leave us? It leaves us with freedom. Emptiness and liberation, emptiness and freedom. And where does that leave us? It leaves us this is not like leaving us with nothing whatsoever. It leaves us without the attachments, the solidification, the reifications that interfere with being fully present and here for this experience now, the fullness of our life. And I think there's a deep kind of faith, understanding, experience that both Mahayana Buddhism in its emptiness teaching and Theravadan Buddhism in its emptiness teaching share, that there is this deep human functioning still going on, functioning of the heart, functioning of the depths within us, in which there can be love, in which there can be compassion, in which there can be care and kindness and goodwill. Not because we have to, not because we should, not because we're practicing to do it, but because when all attachments are released, at least enough, at least temporarily, is that the best of the non-conceptual world of who we are shines forth. So emptiness, emptying, and emptiness. And then we have one more talk tomorrow. So thank you very much, and look forward to emptying out maybe all I have to say on this topic tomorrow.